Picture this, right? It's late at night, a fresh pizza box is sitting right between you and your friends, and somebody makes a seemingly innocent comment about the cheese, and bam, suddenly you're locked in a quiet, decades-long war. On one side, you've got the humble Italian architect, the purist's absolute dream. On the other side, the bold British challenger, the cheese that millions of us secretly prefer, but feel kind of embarrassed to admit out loud. So, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack this whole culinary rivalry. And hey, we're not just throwing opinions around today. We are using history, we're using thermodynamics, and we're looking at the hard data.
So let's just dive right in. This is the argument that has quietly divided pizza lovers for decades. We are setting the stakes right here, right now, to settle this once and for all. Imagine the Italian flag representing the traditionalists, facing off against the British flag of the rebels. We're going to break down this monumental debate relying solely on historical records and rigorous scientific studies. We're going to figure out exactly which cheese actually deserves the crown.
You know what's truly wild to me is the huge contrast in where these cheeses actually come from. Mozzarella's relationship with pizza, it was a deliberate, almost political founding act. Back in 1889, Raffaele Esposito created the pizza margherita for the Queen of Savoy, and he specifically chose cow's milk mozzarella, the white, to sit right alongside the red tomato and green basil, literally forming the colors of the Italian flag. It was so foundational that in 2017, Neapolitan pizza actually earned UNESCO status, which explicitly requires mozzarella. But then, look way back to the 12th century. That is when cheddar was born in England. It didn't arrive on pizza through some grand royal decree. It got there through sheer pragmatism. It was just what people had available as pizza spread across the globe.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates a really crucial defense for Team Cheddar. You see, pizza itself was never meant to be frozen in time in the year 1889. The early Neapolitan fishermen who invented the very first pizza flatbreads, they literally just used whatever cheese their local community was producing at the time. The fundamental spirit of pizza is local adaptation. So when British or American kitchens started using cheddar, because, hey, that's the cheese they had readily available, they weren't corrupting some sacred tradition. By historical standards, they were actually continuing its street food spirit. So yeah, history gives mozzarella the royal pedigree, for sure, but cheddar actually has a surprisingly legitimate claim to the real soul of the dish.
Section 2. The Science of Melting. The Perfect Pull versus the Pool.
Okay, so history is just round one. Now we get to play food scientists and look at the actual thermodynamic battle happening right inside the oven. We have to talk about pasta filata. This is the microscopic architecture behind mozzarella. It's a very specific stretching and heat-forming process during cheesemaking that aligns the protein structures into long parallel chains. When you blast mozzarella with heat on a pizza, those chains soften and they slide against each other. That right there is exactly what gives you that iconic, unbroken elastic stretch that you see in literally every single pizza commercial. It structurally binds the entire pizza together, acting almost like an edible net.
But then we compare this to cheddar. So mozzarella sits at about 17 to 22% fat, which is what lets it act as that structural binder. Cheddar, though, it's a much richer cheese, sitting at a whopping 33% fat. Plus, its proteins are compressed and aged, not stretched out, so when it melts, it doesn't pull, it flows and it pools. And here is the major thermodynamic problem. In a professional wood-fired pizza oven that's rocketing above 300 degrees Celsius, cheddar violently separates. The fat and the protein just break apart under that intense heat, creating this greasy pool. It literally just cannot handle the professional inferno.
But what happens in the oven you actually have at home? Well, at 200 to 220 degrees Celsius, the entire game flips. In a standard home oven, cheddar suddenly dominates. At these lower temperatures, it actually melts way more evenly than mozzarella does, and it browns aggressively. We're talking about those deeply delicious, caramelized, crispy edges. So in the environment where most of us are actually cooking, cheddar is scientifically the better performer, no contest. Section 3. Flavor Philosophy. Amplification versus Leadership. All right, we've talked history, we've covered the physics. Now let's get into the culinary philosophy of flavor. I like to think of mozzarella as your incredibly supportive best friend, while cheddar is the loud life of the party. We call mozzarella's approach radical restraint. Mozzarella tastes like clean milk and really very little else. Now, some people might call it bland, but this brilliantly illustrates how its mildness is actually a highly sophisticated design choice. Mozzarella isn't there to be tasted, right? It's there to carry the other flavors. As its fat melts, it dissolves the aromatic compounds of the tomato, the basil, or maybe some prosciutto, and perfectly distributes them across your palate. It works completely invisibly to amplify the ingredients around it. And that is exactly why a simple 4-ingredient margarita pizza can taste so incredibly vibrant.
Cheddar, on the other hand, absolutely refuses to be invisible. Aged cheddar is totally packed with glutamate. This is the umami compound that basically lights up your brain's pleasure receptors like a Christmas tree. Cheddar does not amplify other ingredients, it leads them. It delivers this immediate, complex, slightly tangy hit straight to your palate. For people who want their cheese to actually taste strongly of cheese, cheddar provides this deeply satisfying, dark, nutty flavor experience that mozzarella simply was never built to offer.
So mozzarella holds down the structural science, and cheddar packs the massive flavor punch. But guys, the strangest part of this whole explainer is still yet to come, because we are about to step out of the realm of subjective taste entirely and into objective, rigorous, peer-reviewed scientific measurement.
Section 4. The 2014 University of Auckland Study. Published in the Journal of Food Science, this is widely considered the absolute most rigorous scientific evaluation of pizza cheese ever conducted. The scientists literally tested these cheeses across 6 distinct criteria: melt distribution, brown spots, free oil, stretch, moisture, and visual stability. And the results? Well, in a professional high-heat setting, mozzarella just swept the board, winning 5 out of the 6 categories. It scored excellent on melt, optimal on browning, minimal on free oil, superior on stretch, and it totally held its visual stability. Cheddar, under those exact same strict professional conditions, was totally inconsistent, it overbrowned, and released way too much oil. So by pure, hard scientific measurement, mozzarella is the undisputed king of the professional pizza oven.
But that leaves us with a massive question, doesn't it? If mozzarella wins the lab tests and cheddar clearly wins the home kitchen flavor war, what do the world's absolute best pizza professionals actually do behind closed doors? Well, neither the mozzarella purists nor the cheddar loyalists want to admit what I'm about to tell you. Behold the secret weapon. This right here is the exact formula used by high-end pizza restaurants and quietly relied upon in the absolute top Italian-American pizzerias. It's 70% low-moisture mozzarella, 20% aged cheddar, and 10% pecorino romano. The mozzarella builds that flawless, stretchy architecture. The cheddar sweeps in to drive that deep umami flavor and beautiful caramelization, and then the pecorino, it just adds that perfect final, sharp, salty punch. You see, the quote really hits the nail on the head. Not a compromise, a collaboration. The greatest pizza makers in the world completely recognize that mozzarella and cheddar are doing fundamentally different jobs. You need the mozzarella for the structure and the tradition, absolutely. But you need the cheddar for that undeniable flavor impact. A truly elite pizza needs both of those jobs done perfectly, which means it needs both cheeses working together on the exact same slice. So, gonna rethink your next slice? Honestly, mozzarella clearly wins on history and structure, but cheddar totally wins on bold flavor and home oven performance. But the ultimate truth? The truth is the blend. I highly encourage you to share this 3-cheese secret with literally anyone who has ever argued with you about pizza, because the argument was never actually either or, it was always both. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep this fresh in your mind, because next time we're going to be tackling another eternal debate, thin crust versus thick crust. And trust me, the science on that one is going to completely surprise